Second object just overtook 3IATLAS there, hiding it before Perihelion tonight. Amidst the hushed corridors of scientific inquiry, unprecedented new orbital data has quietly, almost imperceptibly surfaced. The implications are, quite frankly, staggering. A second, previously uncatalogued celestial body has now definitively breached the inner solar system's perimeter, accelerating along a path that doesn't just resemble, but uncannily mirrors the perplexing trajectory of 3IATLAS. This isn't some random, chaotic drift of cosmic debris. Its path is startlingly precise. It appears meticulously angled in, perfectly timed, and astonishingly set to achieve its closest approach to the Sun, its perihelion, at virtually the same precise moment as 3IATLAS. This isn't a matter of months or even weeks of alignment. We're talking about an orbital synchronicity measured, almost inconceivably, in mere days. For weeks, the global astronomical community has been captivated, even slightly unnerved, by the singular journey of 3IATLAS. Its inbound velocity, the enigmatic maneuver window that hinted at non-gravitational forces, its projected perihelion, these have been the subject of intense scrutiny and countless simulations. But now, in a twist that seems ripped from a science fiction narrative, something else entirely is hurtling relentlessly toward that very same perilous solar corridor. Though observatories worldwide remain outwardly silent, refraining from any public alerts that might ignite widespread speculation, behind the scenes, a different story unfolds. The highly refined orbital fit models are not just being run, they are whispering through secure channels, rapidly circulating amongst a select cadre of specialists. The message they convey is unequivocal. The uncanny match between these two trajectories is simply too profound, too statistically improbable, to be dismissed as mere cosmic happenstance. This unfolding narrative, a tale of the cosmos challenging our deepest assumptions, truly begins with a singular, startling premise, not one, but two distinct celestial entities sharing an almost identical inbound path, converging within an identical time window. And yet, this initial, mind-bending alignment is merely the overture from this point forward. The unfolding cosmic pattern only spirals into realms far stranger and more inexplicable. The sudden emergence of this new entity is startlingly recent, having been first quietly logged in public registries a mere 48 hours ago, a blink in cosmic time. Its initial, fleeting detection originated from a meticulously conducted deep-field sweep, probing the very fringes of what astronomers affectionately term the Twilight Zone. This treacherous region, perpetually bathed in the blinding, distorting glare of the sun, is notorious for concealing inbound objects until they are perilously close, making late discoveries a frustrating norm. Yet, even under these challenging conditions, the object's signal, though undeniably faint, was remarkably clean, almost surgical in its purity. It betrayed the unmistakable signature of a remarkably fast-moving body, possessing an angle of approach so strikingly anomalous that it immediately, and quite literally, raised eyebrows and sent ripples of unease through even the most seasoned tracking centers. The true gravity of the situation crystallized when analysts, with a mix of anticipation and trepidation, meticulously overlaid the nascent orbital arc of this new interloper with the established, complex path of 3IATLAS. The visual impact was instantaneous, the resemblance utterly unmistakable. What appeared on their screens were two ethereal curves, moving in what could only be described as a celestial ballet, one seemingly chasing or perhaps shadowing the other, both inexorably bending, like twin rivers, toward the identical narrow corridor of solar space. This is a profound deviation from the norm, a scenario utterly alien to the typical symphony of the cosmos. Conventionally, inbound objects manifest from a vast, often chaotic array of scattered angles. Their arrivals spaced out by comfortable months, even years. Their perihelia, their closest points to the sun, almost invariably occur on widely disparate dates, reflecting the independence of their long, solitary journeys through the void. Yet, in a breathtaking defiance of these statistical norms, the initial computational solutions painted a drastically different picture. They unequivocally indicate that both objects are slated to dramatically traverse the very same constricted sector of solar space in late October, their individual passages separated by a mere handful of days. 3IATLAS has been a star of the celestial stage for months, subjected to the unblinking gaze of tight international observation, its every wiggle and wobble meticulously tracked. The other, however, materialized from the cosmic shadows with an almost unsettling silence, its existence revealed only by the sheer, improbable luck of its faint signal momentarily bisecting a narrow, fleeting field of view at precisely the opportune moment. How many others, one might wonder, have passed unseen? Of all the bewildering data points, what truly screams for attention, what resonates with an almost unsettling resonance, is the sheer unadulterated precision of the timing. Were these merely random, long-period comets, or even enigmatic interstellar visitors making a fleeting pass? The statistical probability, the sheer astronomical odds of two such disparate entities aligning with such exquisite precision in both their intricate trajectory and their rigidly synchronized schedule would be not just low, but virtually infinitesimal. These wanderers of the cosmos typically drift through the vast, indifferent expanse of space in splendid isolation, their convoluted paths sculpted over eons by the subtle, yet powerful, influences of gravitational slingshots, minute perturbations, and countless chaotic, unpredictable interactions. For two such objects to suddenly, inexplicably, arrive almost in tandem, a celestial duo choreographed with an almost unnatural perfection, presents humanity with an inescapable, binary choice. Either this is an extraordinary, almost miraculous coincidence that defies all conventional understanding, or, far more tantalizingly, there is a deeper, profoundly significant pattern at play, one that challenges our very perception of cosmic order. In the hushed intensity of observation rooms, specialists are already rigorously dissecting every conceivable orbital element with a surgeon's precision. They are scrutinizing the inclination, the angle of their orbits relative to the solar system's plane, the perihelion distance, their closest approach to the sun, and the eccentricity, the degree of elongation of their elliptical paths. The initial findings are nothing short of astounding. The inclinations are not just similar, they are nearly perfectly matched. The eccentricity ratios, which typically exhibit natural variations, are exhibiting an unusually tight, almost identical correspondence. And perhaps most astonishingly, their projected perihelion passage, their moment of closest solar embrace, is aligned to within a mere single week. This level of choreographed celestial mechanics is simply not something that's commonly, or even rarely, observed in the vast, untamed flux of natural inbound traffic. It's so utterly anomalous, in fact, that a growing chorus of analysts is already, with a mix of awe and trepidation, tentatively labeling it a twin trajectory. Yet, just when the initial orbital alignments seem sufficiently bewildering, it is the velocity profile of this newcomer that introduces an entirely new, deeply perplexing layer of complexity. At this critical juncture, the newly discovered object is demonstrably accelerating at a pace slightly faster than that of 3IATLAS, steadily closing its solar distance with an unusually steep gradient. This observed behavior immediately funnels the hypotheses into one of two distinct, yet equally intriguing, possibilities. On one hand, it could simply be a smaller, less massive entity, rendering it more profoundly susceptible to the accelerating pull of the sun's immense gravity. On the other hand, and this is where the implications become truly unsettling, it might signify something inherently extraordinary about its fundamental composition, or perhaps its inexplicable behavior. Should this accelerating trend persist, it paints a truly dramatic scenario. This enigmatic twin could potentially overtake or even flank 3IATLAS precisely within that narrow, critical perihelion window, creating an unprecedented celestial rendezvous. Behind the polished facades of public calm, a palpable sense of urgency permeates the global scientific community. Specialist tracking centers, spanning continents and diverse disciplines, are furiously linking disparate data streams, creating a unified, real-time tapestry of observation. Observatories from opposing hemispheres, normally operating with a degree of independence, are now quietly, almost surreptitiously, syncing their sophisticated models, tirelessly refining the precise approach vectors of these two cosmic travelers. While the deliberate silence of official press releases persists, the modeling chatter, the rapid exchange of data, simulations, and hypotheses among experts is undeniably escalating. This is because what initially presents itself as a mere, albeit perplexing, trajectory alignment invariably serves as a mere prelude, a cosmic curtain raiser to far deeper, more existential questions. Is this an ancient, almost primordial path, set in motion by incomprehensible forces eons ago, only now revealing its intricate design? Or is something far more recent, perhaps even contemporary, actively shaping these vectors, orchestrating this bewildering celestial ballet in real time? The initial set of critical velocity readings arrived at tracking centers with astonishing speed, mere hours, indeed less than a full day, after the object's first tentative detection. At that nascent stage, analysts, grounded in the bedrock of established astrophysics, naturally assumed the acceleration profile would conform to a familiar, predictable pattern, a quintessential, natural fall inward, its speed gradually, organically steepening as it succumbed to the sun's intensifying gravitational embrace. However, within a shockingly brief span of hours, the raw numbers began to betray, then decisively deviate from that expected, smooth gravitational curve. The divergence wasn't immediately dramatic, a subtle, yet undeniably measurable departure, manifesting as a steady, almost controlled climb in velocity where the immutable laws of physics dictated there should have been nothing more than a smooth, predictable gravitational slope. This was a cosmic whisper turning into a distinct anomaly. In the highly sensitive, often tension-filled environments of dedicated tracking rooms, precisely these kinds of subtle, initial deviations are not merely noted, they are watched with an almost obsessive vigilance. Because in this meticulous realm of observation, when such anomalies don't merely flicker but persist, when they stubbornly refuse to vanish into the statistical background, they cease to be dismissed as mere noise, random errors, or instrument glitches. Instead, they transform, with chilling certainty, into irrefutable, compelling data, demanding immediate and profound reevaluation. To truly grasp the profound implications of this anomaly, one must understand the fundamental physics at play. Inbound celestial objects, without exception, typically accelerate with a highly predictable regularity as they inexorably plunge deeper into the sun's immense gravitational well. Every single kilometer of distance shed, every increment closer to the solar inferno, corresponds to a meticulously calculable, immutable increase in their velocity. Yet, this new object isn't just accelerating at an unexpectedly heightened pace, it is doing so with an almost surgical precision, as if guided by an unseen hand. It's behaving as if it were consciously pacing itself, engaging in a steady, deliberate escalation of speed that first meticulously matches, then subtly, yet definitively, surpasses the inbound velocity profile of 3IATLAS. The culminating effect of this uncanny performance is what exasperated yet fascinated analysts have dubbed a velocity shadow. Imagine a perfectly choreographed cosmic dance, a trailing object, with inexplicable exactitude, is synchronizing itself with a lead target, mirroring its every acceleration and subtle shift. While such a precise, sustained synchronization is virtually unheard of in the messy, chaotic realm of natural celestial mechanics, it is almost chillingly a perfectly common signature in scenarios involving controlled pursuits, orchestrated maneuvers, or deliberate rendezvous, often observed in human-engineered spaceflight. The contrast couldn't be starker, nor the implications more unsettling. Yet, the profound oddity extends far beyond the mere fact of its acceleration. It is the unwavering, almost clinical consistency of this acceleration that truly confounds. Natural forces, by their very essence, are inherently messy. The delicate balance of cosmic influences, the subtle outgassing from an icy nucleus, the sporadic jets of material, the unpredictable rotational tumbling, all of these introduce chaotic fluctuations that invariably manifest in our sensitive telemetry readings as noise. But the velocity curve traced by this enigmatic object is pristine, almost too clean. There is no visible evidence of outgassing, no erratic, sudden jumps or unexpected dips in its trajectory, merely a smooth, unbroken rising line that, disturbingly, seems to adhere to some unseen, perfectly executed hidden schedule. The unnerving consistency of this anomaly was not confined to the domain of ground-based observatories alone, lending even greater weight to its reality. A specialized deep space monitoring array, typically tasked with the vigilant tracking of highly energetic near-sun activity, independently flagged the identical, inexplicable pattern within its own meticulously gathered telemetry. This independent corroboration was a game-changer. Within a mere handful of hours, multiple high-level observation channels, each representing the pinnacle of astronomical capability, began a rapid, intensive coordination of their measurements, rigorously refining the readings and tirelessly searching for any credible sign, any subtle nuance that might point toward a conventional, natural explanation. Despite this concerted, global effort, the stark reality remains so far. None of the established natural explanations fits the observed data perfectly or even convincingly. In the ongoing, high-stakes debate, the most conservative voices within the scientific community still cautiously champion a hypothesis involving an unusually robust icy nucleus, equipped with extraordinarily well-shielded jets that could, theoretically, be producing a sustained directional thrust, albeit one utterly invisible to our current cutting-edge resolution. This explanation, while pushing the boundaries of known cometary behavior, at least attempts to remain within the realm of natural phenomena. However, a growing chorus of other specialists speaking in hushed, almost conspiratorial tones are beginning to quietly, yet persistently, suggest something far more profoundly unsettling, something infinitely harder to reconcile with a purely natural universe, the chilling possibility of intentional pacing. And so, behind the meticulously closed doors of secure facilities, the very tone of the discourse has undergone a dramatic and palpable shift. What began as an intellectual curiosity, a fascinating cosmic puzzle, has rapidly escalated into a pressing, high-stakes strategy. Teams of engineers and astronomers are working around the clock, with an almost frantic intensity, meticulously recalibrating every available instrument to maintain an unyielding, unbroken lock on the object as it inexorably dives toward the imminent solar blackout, that perilous window when it will be temporarily obscured by the sun's blinding disk. Simultaneously, elite high-altitude observatories, strategically positioned for unparalleled clarity and advanced solar coronagraph arrays, specifically designed to peer through the sun's intense glare, are being feverishly prepped not just for fleeting observations, but for prolonged, continuous monitoring. Observation runs. There's a palpable, quiet urgency, not yet echoing in public channels or shouted from headlines, but is an unmistakable, almost thrumming undercurrent within the tightly knit data community, a tension that grows with each passing solar hour. Beneath the immediate concerns lies an even subtler, more unnerving layer. For months, 3IATLAS has been meticulously charted, its celestial dance recorded with exquisite precision, its trajectory refined down to the tiniest, almost infinitesimal tolerances. Yet, this newly discovered companion object made its appearance astonishingly late, so late, in fact, that its calculated inbound speed screams a different story. It suggests this mysterious intruder may have already been traversing the inner solar system for an extended period, perhaps cleverly camouflaged by the sun's blinding glare, or simply too faint, too insignificant to be resolved by our most powerful instruments. That delayed detection, starkly contrasted with the strikingly clean, almost surgical acceleration curve now observed, doesn't just raise questions, it forces deeply uncomfortable ones. Was it merely an oversight, a fleeting cosmic blink that caused us to miss it? Or was it chillingly, always there, patiently waiting in the shadows? Regardless of its origin, one thing is now unequivocally clear: this is no longer just another inert, drifting rock tossed haphazardly by the cosmic tides. Instead, we are observing an object moving with a startling sense of purpose, or at the very least, with a degree of extraordinary, almost improbable precision. The acceleration spike isn't just an anomalous data point on a graph, it's a resonant signal, a deliberate gravitational tug, seemingly orchestrating both objects toward a singular, shared moment in their perilous dance around the sun. As the velocity shadow, that theoretical corridor of gravitational influence and momentum grows tighter, compressing the timelines, the silent countdown accelerates with it, echoing the relentless ticking of a doomsday clock. In the arcane, yet elegant, language of orbital mechanics, a perihelion window isn't merely a geometric point in vast, indifferent space. It is a razor-thin, incredibly compressed slice of time where cosmic trajectories contort, where shadows lengthen dramatically under the sun's intense gaze, and where the star's overpowering glare utterly dominates everything, consuming light and revealing secrets in equal measure. For the vast majority of comets, or even the enigmatic interstellar bodies that occasionally grace our solar system, these moments of closest approach to the sun typically pass quietly, their ephemeral existence unnoticed by all but a handful of dedicated astronomers and their vigilant data analysts. But this particular convergence is profoundly different. This is not most objects. This is two distinct trajectories converging with such improbable tightness, both in space and time, that they appear inextricably bound together, as if by some invisible force far more compelling and deliberate than mere chance. The sheer statistical probability of such an alignment occurring purely at random is astronomically low, perhaps not entirely impossible, but certainly rare enough to instantly seize the immediate and intense attention of multiple independent observatories across the globe. It's the kind of unnerving cosmic coincidence that compels every researcher to frantically recheck their algorithms, to scrutinize their data sets for even the most subtle software errors, to pore over every single calculation for any potential misstep, anything, truly, that might logically explain away such a breathtaking degree of precision. Yet, after countless rounds of painstaking, independent verification, the undeniable convergence has stood firm, unyielding in its implication. In the boundless expanse of deep space, a difference of a few days in arrival time is utterly negligible, lost in the cosmic scale. But as these objects hurtle towards the sun, a mere few days can translate into critically important phenomena, overlapping thermal envelopes that could superheat fragile surfaces, overlapping plasma wakes that might create chaotic interactions, and, perhaps most concerning, overlapping blackout periods that render them invisible. If their trajectories remain precisely as they are currently computed, there will inevitably be an extended stretch of time when both objects simultaneously vanish behind the sun's overwhelming glare, becoming effectively unobservable from our vantage point on Earth. During that terrifying blackout period, the only instruments remotely capable of maintaining any semblance of watch will be specialized solar coronagraphs, telescopic instruments designed to view the sun's faint corona, and a select few space-based observatories strategically positioned to avoid terrestrial atmospheric interference. Even these advanced sentinels, however, operate within their own inherent limits, their capabilities stretched thin by the sun's immense power. When any object dares to enter this solar silent zone, the meticulously constructed global communication and observation networks thin out dramatically, like a fraying rope. The sun's intense electromagnetic radiation floods detectors with an overwhelming torrent of noise, drowning out faint signals. Introducing a second, even faster-moving body into that very same window doesn't merely double the observational challenge. It compounds it exponentially, turning a difficult problem into a nightmarish one. Should anything truly unexpected occur, a sudden, inexplicable break in formation, an abrupt, unnatural change in course, or a mysterious release of energy, it could all transpire entirely out of sight, leaving us completely blind to its implications. There are, naturally, those who lean towards the comforting explanation of pure coincidence, two long-period objects, perhaps nudged subtly inward over countless decades by a series of fortuitous gravitational interactions, finally arriving at a similar temporal window. After all, space, while unimaginably vast, is not entirely featureless. It possesses its own intricate corridors, its own gravitational highways where objects sometimes coalesce and ride in clusters. Such occurrences are, admittedly, not entirely unprecedented in the grand cosmic ballet. But others, particularly the dedicated cadre of trackers who have been intimately following 3IATLAS with an almost obsessive focus, are far less inclined to embrace such a simplistic explanation. They vehemently point out that these two objects are not merely on similar inbound vectors, they are, to an almost uncanny degree, timed. The second object's bewildering acceleration didn't just happen, it began aligning itself with breathtaking precision, bringing it into perfect phase with 3IATLAS's perihelion passage. If this object were truly drifting freely, a mere cosmic vagabond, the statistical odds of it pacing itself with such extraordinary clockwork precision are so vanishingly slim as to border on the impossible. Thus, the maneuver window has become the focal point of everyone's quiet, almost whispered attention. For 3IATLAS, these critical days represent a period of profound uncertainty, a time when its previously predictable behavior could inexplicably shift, revealing a deeper agenda. If the second object is indeed acting as a precursor, a herald, or perhaps a trailing partner in some unknown cosmic design, then the perihelion moment itself might finally rip away the veil, dramatically revealing the true nature of their mysterious connection. Adding another layer of brittle tension to this already fraught situation is the projected duration of the impending silence. Normally, when a celestial object momentarily vanishes behind the sun, the observational gap between its last visual tracking and its anticipated first reappearance is usually just a few days of brief, manageable hiatus. However, 3IATLAS is estimated to be genuinely massive. Consequently, its blackout is expected to last significantly longer than average, potentially extending for up to an agonizing week. The second object, with its characteristically steeper velocity profile, could theoretically slip into and out of that blackout at a slightly different angle, a subtly different time. This terrifying differential means there will be a protracted, agonizing window of overlapping silence, a truly bewildering void where neither object will be visible, neither will be trackable, and the only thing left for observers will be a gaping, unnerving data gap. For astronomers, such data gaps are akin to being suddenly blindfolded in the middle of a crucial experiment, every sense heightened by the lack of sight. For intelligence networks, however, they represent critical choke points, moments of profound vulnerability where the unknown is given ample room to breathe, to expand, and to potentially manifest. If anything unexpected, anything truly paradigm-shifting is indeed going to happen, If the rules of this cosmic game are about to irrevocably change, that is precisely when it will occur. Across the globe, observers are already frantically preparing. Solar coronagraphs, strategically positioned both on Earth-orbiting space probes and distant orbital platforms, are being recalibrated with an unprecedented level of urgency. Their fields of view painstakingly extended to capture even the faintest glimmer. Some observatories are devising complex, overlapping exposure runs, their teams desperate to catch fleeting brief flashes or detect subtle, indirect signatures, even as the sun's overwhelming glare savagely consumes the primary signals they so desperately seek. It is, in essence, a desperate race between the relentless march of time and the finite speed of light. Once both enigmatic objects plunge into that solar corridor, that unobservable pathway, the sun itself transforms into an impenetrable wall, shielding secrets that may redefine our understanding of the universe. And then there's the insidious psychological weight of the date itself. It has transcended mere calendar notation to become a stark marker, an inexorable line towards which both celestial trajectories are undeniably bending, drawing them closer to an inevitable confrontation. The closer they draw, the less conceivable room remains for either error or comforting coincidence. Behind the veiled doors of secure facilities, every minuscule shift in trajectory, every fractional increase in acceleration is being monitored with an almost suffocating, quiet intensity, the stakes rising with each passing moment. This isn't merely a puzzle about spatial position anymore. This has become a profound question of cosmic synchronization. In the intricate realm of orbital dynamics, synchronized arrivals are an exceedingly uncommon sight. When they do occur, they typically belong to well-understood, structured systems, perhaps debris fields faithfully trailing a larger parent object, or the predictable components of a binary star system. Alternatively, and far more unsettlingly, they powerfully suggest a more complex, perhaps even artificial, dynamic at play. A single interstellar object, like Oumuamua, is a profound mystery, a cosmic anomaly. But two such objects arriving in such precise sequence, converging upon the very same solar window with such uncanny timing, swiftly ceases to be an anomaly and, instead, becomes an undeniable pattern. The gravitational environment surrounding the sun at perihelion is, by its very nature, a chaotic maelstrom. The solar wind, magnetic field interactions, and sudden, violent coronal mass ejections can all act with unpredictable ferocity. Two celestial bodies caught in such close temporal proximity could influence each other in myriad subtle ways gravitationally, magnetically, or even through direct material interaction if their comas happen to overlap, creating an unholy cosmic brew. Even if both objects are entirely natural, their unsettlingly near-synchronous arrival could, by itself, produce a cascade of complex, unprecedented effects, rendering the precious perihelion data far messier, far more ambiguous than any analyst would dare to wish for. But what truly renders this convergence so profoundly unsettling isn't just the sheer audacity of the physics involved, it is the impenetrable wall of official silence that surrounds it. To date, no official agency, no government, no space organization has issued a public statement acknowledging the existence of this second object, let alone its synchronized timeline. The raw data, however, undeniably exists, circulating quietly, almost furtively through specialized observatory networks and the private channels of a few dedicated trackers. But in an era saturated with instant global communication and the relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of transparency, the profound, almost chilling absence of official public pronouncements regarding this extraordinary phenomenon stands in stark, almost defiant contrast to the sheer, mind-boggling scale of the celestial anomaly unfolding before our very eyes. Why this inexplicable silence? What critical information are they deliberately withholding, especially when the cosmic stakes appear to be astronomically high, touching upon something potentially existential? When an event of such colossal, unprecedented magnitude manifests in the cold, silent void of space, and yet the terrestrial airwaves remain eerily, stubbornly mute, devoid of official statements, frantic updates, or even cautious warnings, experienced observers, those who truly understand the intricate mechanics of the cosmos, instinctively comprehend a chilling, unspoken truth. They know, with a certainty that gnaws at their very core, that they are not merely witnessing an astronomical spectacle, but rather standing helplessly in the lengthening, ominous shadow of something far, far bigger than any mere visible object, a profound shift, an unrevealed agenda, or perhaps an unquantifiable threat deliberately withheld from public consciousness. Indeed, the invisible, relentless countdown to this inevitable convergence, a cosmic collision course of sorts, has already irrevocably begun. Each precious, fleeting day that bleeds into the next serves only to mercilessly narrow the once open maneuver window, that critical period where intervention, evasion, or even just deeper analysis might have been possible. Are we, humanity, merely passive spectators in this unfolding cosmic drama? Or is there a desperate, last-ditch effort being contemplated behind closed doors, its feasibility shrinking with every tick of the unforgiving clock? With an almost unsettling mechanical precision, the acceleration of the second mysterious object holds relentlessly steady, its trajectory unwavering, its purpose inscrutable. Simultaneously, 3IATLAS, that enigmatic wanderer from the outer reaches, continues its inexorable descent, plunging deeper and deeper into the inner solar system, a cosmic dive towards an unknown, shared fate. There's a chilling, almost predetermined ballet unfolding, a choreography of gravitational forces that seems to be marching inevitably toward a specific, inescapable conclusion. The visual representation of their paths, once distinct and distant, now depicts both orbital curves moving with an unsettling synchronicity, tightening like twin threads spun from the very fabric of destiny itself. They are hurtling with increasing velocity toward a single, inescapable knot in time. This isn't just a convergence, it's a fated rendezvous, a singular point where two distinct cosmic destinies are poised to irrevocably intertwine, or perhaps violently unravel. And here lies the truly bewildering, almost paradoxical truth, a twist that amplifies the chilling uncertainty once these two colossal entities inevitably cross the threshold into the solar silent zone, that tumultuous, electromagnetically charged region dominated by the sun's blinding glare and the disruptive plasma. We will, astonishingly, lose all direct sight, all telemetry, all observational data of both. Our most advanced instruments, usually so capable of piercing the cosmic veil, will be rendered momentarily blind, deaf, and mute. Our collective gaze will then shift, not to the vanished objects themselves, but helplessly toward the fiery heart of our star, waiting with bated breath, holding on to the fragile hope of what might somehow re-emerge from that brilliant, blinding shroud. Or, in a scenario too terrifying to fully contemplate, what simply does not. The wait, then, becomes a silent vigil, an agonizing anticipation of either revelation or absolute, irreversible